In the last 15 years, we've seen the industry do the following to us. Overhyped games that launch in unplayable states that take months to be fixed, paywall multiplayer behind online passes to milk extra cash out of pre-owned games, introduce nickel and dime microtransactions, force gambling mechanics into their games to milk more money out of microtransactions, hide play-to-win weapons, armor, and boosters into their gambling mechanics, run beloved franchises into the ground with lazy entries full of predatory monetization with no substance, hijack social political fads on social media to use as both advertising campaigns and shields to avoid criticism, repeatedly attack established fan bases for speaking their minds, remove DLC content that was already paid for without offering oh, that hurt as a Destiny player. Delist games from digital storefronts. That hurt if you're the crew player. Remove features from games after launch. All of this, and people wonder why players are negative towards games that haven't released yet. Yep, couldn't say it better than myself. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, today I will be reacting to the legendary man himself, Legendary Drops. He made a video called Marathon Doesn't Make Sense. He has now joined the battle. He's joined the fray of the controversial game of Bungie, Marathon. And I say controversial because I don't even know why it's controversial, really. Bungie decides to make an extraction shooter. Okay, that's it. That's basically, it's just dumb. As a Destiny 2 player, I feel like that most of the hatred coming from Marathon is from D2 players. All because they're looking at Bungie and going, you're not updating and working on my favorite game, Destiny 2. Then Marathon is a bad game. L game. If Bungie wants to make a different game other than Destiny, let them. It's their right. They don't need to be tied just to Destiny. I just feel that the main thing they hate about Marathon is the fact that it's an extraction shooter. And the other thing is, the reason why Marathon is getting a bunch of hate is because Destiny 2 players are used to PvE. The game's not PvE. And Bungie themselves has come out and said, hey, if you're into PvE, then you're probably not gonna like Marathon, because Marathon is a PvP game. I will be getting Marathon, by the way. My boy Legendary Drops himself made a video, like I said, and it's called Marathon Doesn't Make Sense. So I just want to see what the man wants to talk about, what's his take, and we'll go from there. By the way, sub and like, ladies and gentlemen, and go check out my main channel. We're close to 2,000 subs. It'd be nice if we can get to that. That's where I have the funny moments, the funny gaming moments. Remember to check out Legendary Drops. He will be in the description, and his video will also be in the description as well, ladies and gentlemen. And also, if you don't know, I don't have a webcam. It'd be boring if it's just his video, so I'm gonna post gaming webcam. Editor, do it now. Boom! There we go, editor. Thank you. Love you so much. And with that, ladies and gentlemen, let's start reacting to the video. All right, let's go.
Don't make fun of me for the minor sunburn. I looked out the window for 5 seconds and this was the result of
That's sad.
It's been wild for me to sit back and watch as people have been visibly confused over the reception of Bungie's upcoming game, Marathon. And I've seen writers, I've seen journalists, I've seen commentators and content creators and fans all sitting back going, I'm just so sick of how toxic things have become. How could you be so critical of something that's not even out yet? It's almost like we haven't been, for the better part of the last decade, watching as these companies have been torching their reputation at both ends, while also at the exact same time bending these players over backwards, taking advantage of them.
True.
You want these guys to be optimistic? What? Marathon doesn't have an uphill battle. It has a mountain to climb, and that's not a mountain that the players put there. That's an obstacle Bungie put there. Okay. It's not that Marathon as a game conceptually can't find an audience. I do think an audience is there for it. How big that is, that's a completely different story.
He is right. Bungie put themselves in this position. I love Bungie, but they've been doing a lot of stupid shit lately. I mean, look at Destiny. Destiny used to be really good, had a good player base, and then it started going downhill because, in my opinion, I just feel like they wouldn't really listen that much. We'd complain about certain issues and it wouldn't get dealt with. They started deleting content, and then people started going, then what the hell's the point of me buying this content if it's gonna get taken away from me and I won't get a refund for buying said content? That's why the beginning, like, new player experience in Destiny 2 is horrible. Right now, I think they're still in the whole they're in court right now for the whole allegation of that writer saying that they stole his story and all of his stuff from the Red War. And in court, they had to use someone's footage, their gameplay footage, because they don't have the files for the beginning Red War campaign anymore. The first thing of Destiny 2, all of that experience is deleted. They don't have it. They would have to make it from scratch in order to implement it into the game, which is crazy to me. It's true, they dug themselves in this hill. Gaming companies have been doing this very shady shit, and then they wonder why the players hate them.
I do think an audience is there for it. How big that is a completely different story. But its biggest issues aren't tied to the game. It's tied to Bungie. So today what I want to do is I want to talk about the negative discourse that's surrounding Marathon right now. I want to talk about why it is the way that it is. I want to talk about how Sony and Bungie have essentially clipped its wings before it can even fly. And I'd like to talk about whether or not Marathon can run or fall flat on its face.
All right.
Spoiler. It's going to be a little bit of both. Just last week, Bungie finally pulled back the curtain on their upcoming extraction shooter, Marathon, a name that echoes from the depths of the studio's past. For those that are unfamiliar, Marathon wasn't just one of Bungie's earliest projects, it was their beginning. Originally developed for the Mac in the mid-90s, the Marathon trilogy gave Bungie its first taste of recognition, but it also nearly killed them. One of the games in the series was shipped with a critical error that, no exaggeration, was wiping players' hard drives upon installation. The
I did not know
backlash
that.
for this was catastrophic. Bungie was drowning in returns and on the verge of bankruptcy, and to survive, they ended up cutting a deal with Microsoft, and in exchange for covering the damages, Bungie would develop a new project for Microsoft and their upcoming console, the original Xbox. That project was Halo. So in a way, Marathon was...
I did not know that, actually. I did know that Bungie made Marathon. I did not know that it basically nearly bankrupted them, and because of that, Halo was already... I thought they developed Halo and then made a deal with Microsoft, and then they decided to make it for Xbox. I didn't know Marathon was the catalyst for making Halo that was already a deal for Xbox. Oh, okay. I did not know that. All right. That's actually a nice piece of lore I didn't know from Bungie.
And their upcoming console, the original Xbox. That project was Halo. So in a way, Marathon was both the origin of Bungie's fame and their near-death experience that then forced them into pivoting into a franchise that made them into legends. Now here we are 3 decades later, they're dusting off that legacy and they're gambling with fate all over again. Now, this new Marathon, controversially enough, is set to be a 3-player squad-based PvEVP extraction shooter. Players are going to be taking on the role of runners, humans that have abandoned their mortal bodies for sleek cybernetic shells, chasing fame and fortune across the ruins of Tau Ceti. After a mysterious calamity had wiped out the planet's researchers, corporations had stepped in, sponsoring these runners to come in and scavenge whatever's left. Tech, data, secrets, whatever they can get their hands on. Players are going to battle with hostile AI sentinels, alien threats, and other squads in a race to... well, extract before being wiped out. Bungie has also gone on to hint a little bit more at larger scale events as well. Boss encounters, dungeons, maybe even some Destiny-style raids if we're lucky that might be hiding underneath the surface of this game. Okay. Now, on paper, this should have been a slam dunk. A major studio with one of the strongest FPS pedigrees in all of gaming, reviving a long-dormant IP, creating a very distinct-looking sci-fi world within a genre that really isn't all that overcrowded. 5 or 6 years ago, I think this would have lit the gaming world on fire, but times have changed, my friends, and this game's reception couldn't have been any colder. Instead of hype, the announcement was met with skepticism, sarcasm, and exhaustion.
Pure
Twitter,
hatred.
Reddit, YouTube, go ahead and pick your platform. Doesn't really matter where you're looking, because very few players were impressed, and even fewer were optimistic. Day over day, as more information has been revealed, the backlash against both Bungie and Marathon has only gotten worse. I think the first red flag of this reveal was the genre itself. Marathon is a hero-based extraction shooter. That alone is going to raise some eyebrows. While Bungie definitely has a long history of being praised for its PvP in Halo and Destiny, what's truly made them who they are is their PvE content. Say what you will about Destiny's monetization and its seasonal bloat. Believe me, we'll talk about that later. But there is a reason why their raids and dungeons are considered the gold standard for MMO-styled action combat. Beyond that, keep in mind that this game doesn't seem to have any narrative, and it's not going to feature any type of PvE cooperative modes, yet Bungie has built their entire empire on cinematic storytelling, memorable characters, and finely tuned cooperative play. So this sudden pivot into a genre that appeals to a completely different audience of player just doesn't really make a whole lot of sense. It doesn't align with what their audience wants. It feels like trend chasing, plain and simple. And on top of that, the extraction shooter...
I understand what he's saying, that you're going for a different audience. Bungie has cemented themselves into the whole PvE genre, basically, with Destiny. But at the same time, I don't think it's wrong for them to try different venues, okay? If they want to try an extraction shooter, why not? If they want to make a freaking roguelike, why not? I don't I don't mind it. I just don't think it should be. It's fair. I don't think it's fair for people to just tie Bungie down to, oh, you're PvE only. By all means, go ahead and try it. I don't know if it'll be good or not. I feel it's kind of crazy that they're getting this much hatred for doing that.
And on top of that, the extraction shooter genre is brutal. There are really only, what, 2 success stories that we have, Escape from Tarkov and Hunt Showdown. Nearly every other attempt is base planted after launch because these games are niche by design. They're not meant to be easily digestible or streamlined experiences. Their very appeal lies in their punishing loops, the tension, the messiness, the lack of hand-holding. The moment that you try to sand off the edges to appeal to a broader audience, you kill what makes these games special. Simplify the loot and the game feels hollow. Add revives and you cut the stakes. Throw in flashy abilities and you undermine player skill. Any of these changes tells fans of that genre that this studio doesn't understand what they're building, and Bungie is already making all of those changes. I mean, case in point, there's no proximity chat in Marathon because according to Bungie, it would be way too toxic. I am so sick of this, by the way. This constant desire to soften and sanitize the edges of every gaming experience. This isn't making games safer, it's making them less interesting. The only thing that's safe about them is nobody's going to be playing them. In an extraction shooter, proximity chat isn't just flavor, it's function. It creates emergent, unforgettable moments. I cannot tell you guys how many times I've run into another player while playing Escape from Tarkov, adrenaline pumping, we're awkwardly trying to negotiate a ceasefire. Maybe we part ways peacefully, maybe we actually team up, maybe we betray each other in the next 5 minutes. That tension, that unpredictability, that's what makes this genre.
They keep saying that their whole motto is keeping, their games safe from, hatred and all this and all that, blah, blah, blah. I just find it dumb. I get some people can be very toxic in a proximity chat and shit like that. I mean, look at Call of Duty. But at the end of the day, that's what makes it fun. It makes it entertaining. And especially in an extraction shooter, it's just like you said, the amount of times when I would play with my friends, how much fun we would have with proximity chat. Just being dumb. It's very entertaining and good for content. I will admit, it's really good for content. I don't know about streaming. It'll be difficult. If one N-word gets loose while you're streaming, ooh, good luck. But on video, super simple. You laugh and then you just censor it and that's it. You move on.
That's what makes this genre. Bungie stripping it out in the name of safety shows that either they don't get it or they're too afraid to embrace it. Now, if that wasn't enough, and I really love this part. I love when these developers do this, but when fans were asking if the game would include more PvE-focused content, maybe offer some options down the road for players that want something more cooperative over competitive encounters, Bungie responded with everybody's favorite line, "This game isn't made for you."
Yep.
Telling fans of Destiny PvE that they don't recommend Marathon to them. Seriously, that's the message that you guys want to be sending to the Destiny community. The same people that have funded the game that you're making right now through years of support, expansions, and microtransactions that they've purchased in Destiny 2. Bungie isn't just ignoring their core audience here. They are actively alienating them. It is baffling to me.
Okay, nah, hold on. Look, that's where I'm split evenly. Yes, Destiny is their biggest community and their biggest IP, but they shouldn't be tied specifically to that. It's just like I said, if Bungie wants to make different games, by all means, they have the right to do that. I don't find this so, I don't know, I don't find this so rude to the Destiny community. And then saying that that Destiny community is what funded that game and all that. I don't see it that way. In the end of the day, it's a business. Bungie made a game, they get the money, and they have all right to use that funding however they see fit. Yes, it'd be nice if they used a bit more of that funding to make the game run better, but at the end of the day, it's their money and they get to use it. I see it the same way as if I bought X, Y, and Z from this company, I have the right to do whatever I want with that X, Y, and Z because I gave you the money. Now I own it. I get to do what I want with it. It's the same thing with a company. The money I give them, they can use it as they see fit. Obviously, there's some moments where I feel like people have the right to complain, but in the end of the day, it's their money. They get to do what they want with it. And I don't see it rude for Bungie to go, hey, this game isn't about PvE. If you're in it for PvE, then this game isn't for you. I don't see that being rude. In fact, in a way, I'm like, okay, good that you told people because it's a good thing. Because imagine if they didn't mention that and then someone gets the game thinking, oh, there might be PvE because it's Bungie. And then there's no PvE and they go, wow, you scammed me. Well, no.
Bungie isn't just ignoring their core audience here. They are actively alienating them. It is baffling to me how many of these studios continue to make the exact same mistake, treating genuine questions like they're nuisances instead of an opportunity. Maybe, just maybe, if Bungie was paying attention, they would realize that players generally like the idea of a PvE-focused experience where they can then take what they earn into a more high-stakes PvP mode. It's the one thing that players have been waiting for and they've been wanting to get from Tarkov, and arguably, Bungie has the better skill set to deliver. Imagine if having a co-op PvE exploration mode or narrative mode where you can go and build your wealth, skill, and arsenal, and then go and take that into an extraction mode where there's more risk, where there's more reward, where the challenge is even greater. Players want that. That sounds like a great game that a lot of people would want to play. I do not understand how you miss a layup like this. Now you're sitting there saying to yourself, it just can't get any worse. LD, it can't get worse. Baby, it's 2025. Of course it can. Marathon, while only launching with 6 playable characters and 3 maps, is not going to be free to play. It's a premium title. And not only will players have to pay up front, the game will also launch with battle passes, microtransactions, and premium content. Bungie said it would be a premium product, and through their official Marathon Twitter later then clarified, saying that it won't be full price and details will come later, likely pointing to Sony's strategy of pricing live service titles around $40 like Helldivers 2, Foam Stars, and Concord, noticing that only one of those games survived. Now, I've seen a lot of people trying to defend this, and I got something to say to you, by the way. People making comparisons to Helldivers 2, you clearly haven't played it. That game earned its $40 price tag through ethical monetization and great gameplay. Every cosmetic, every battle pass, every microtransaction in Helldivers 2 can be earned through gameplay. Their battle passes don't expire. The grind is fair. Players feel respected. That's the key. Bungie, on the other hand, has one of the worst reputations in the entire industry for monetization. Between Destiny 2's constantly shifting economy, disappearing content, and overpriced cosmetics, there is no reason at all to believe that Marathon will offer anything close to the level of goodwill of Helldivers 2. Sony saw the success of Helldivers 2 and took the wrong lesson. They saw the price point, not the philosophy behind it.
Yeah. Look, I will say, I don't know why, but Marathon being for $40, I don't know why for me it doesn't seem that bad, really. I haven't heard of what else you're including in the game. All I know is it's an extraction shooter, only 3 maps, and 1 extra. So it's going to be when Season 1 comes out. So total 4 maps. Then there's only 6 runners. I don't even think I think they showed all the weapons. I don't even think it's gonna be a vast amount of weapons like Tarkov, sadly. I don't know how many weapons there are. There's variants of the weapons, and then I don't think they showed what or how much loot is gonna be out there. It's weird. So I will admit the $40 price tag is kind of skeptical, where I'm going, we're paying $40 for just an extraction game, then only 3 maps, and then a fourth one on Season 1 comes out. They did say that I think they're actively checking if they can increase the player count in maps. The Dire March is 18 players total, but at the other maps, if they're bigger or whatever, they'll account for it with adding more players or whatever. I think that's what they said. $40 does sound skeptical. If this game was $60, I would have been like, oh crap, that's way too much. Bungie has a very bad track record with battle passes and all this microtransaction bullshit. Even I was just tired of it. I hated the idea of when they introduced the battle pass to Destiny 2. Legendary, you got a point there. you do have a point. I wasn't that mad of the $40 price tag if it is, but now I kind of do see it.
They saw the price point, not the philosophy behind it. I guess at least we can say that Sony did learn one good lesson from Helldivers 2, and they will not be requiring players
Bungie's
to
Marathon.
have a PlayStation account on PC or Xbox to be able to play Marathon.
Good.
So what's my take on all of this? Honestly, I like these kind of games. I genuinely do. I dig the aesthetic. The world looks really intriguing.
It looks
and I know
intriguing.
Bungie's
The game looks
gunplay is still
interesting.
some of the best in the business. With that said, I'm incredibly skeptical whether or not they can pull this off. I do not like the hero shooter angle. Those character designs look painfully weak. The gameplay looks painfully slow. They are charging a premium price. They are known for predatory monetization. And they are already making compromises on what makes this sort of game special.
Him saying that the gameplay looks slow, maybe the game will be slower than usual for an extraction shooter. But you have to remember, as I said before, extraction shooters aren't made to be fast-paced, go in, balls ablaze, and go crazy. Tarkov, like I said, there would be multiple minutes upon minutes where we were just walking around looking for loot, or trying to find players sometimes, and It's just like that. Extraction shooters is basically, there's gonna be a large amount of time where it's just nothing happening and you getting loot, and then suddenly shit hits the wall. But yes, maybe Marathon might be a bit more slower than, you know, Tarkov. I am with you. I'm kind of skeptical as well, but still, the game looks interesting. I am gonna try it out either way. Oh, and that's the other thing I was gonna say about character design, all that. Character designs, they look unique to me. The one thing I will say is when I saw the gameplay live stream where they were showing Dr. Lupo playing, I couldn't help laugh about, I think it's the running cycle for the Titan class, the Locust or whatever. It just looks really goofy the way the running cycle in first person looks. And like you can see his legs in the bottom of the screen. It looks like a goofy run cycle. I don't know why. It just made me laugh.
The gameplay looks painfully slow. They are charging a premium price. They are known for predatory monetization, and they are already making compromises on what makes this sort of game special. You guys are entering into one of the most competitive and unforgiving markets in this industry.
Yeah.
The bodies of dead live service games stretch as high as the unemployment lines are long, and you're making a bet on a genre that has far more casualties than it does successes. But you guys think you could do it better. I feel like this is just another chapter in this industry's ongoing identity crisis. We've reached the tail end of the Battle Royale boom. These publishers are now scrambling, trying to figure out what comes next. Extraction shooters, to them, seem like the next big experiment, but I don't think they're it. They're just too niche for a broad audience, and broad audiences aren't what Bungie is trying to target. Most players are going to lean hard in either one side or the other, either PvE or PvP-focused games. Forcing both of them together narrows that appeal. And any compromise that you're going to make to try to cater to one side or the other ultimately will ruin this game for everyone. Now, that's not to say that Marathon can't find success, but I do think the kind of success that Bungie and Sony are banking on is a fantasy, especially if they're charging a premium price on top of battle passes and microtransactions. You're putting up a paywall around a game that lives or dies by player engagement. It makes no sense to me. You are actively pushing away the very people that might have just tried the game out of curiosity, people who might have liked it, stuck around, and maybe even brought their friends with them. Now, I realize this is going to be a relatively cold take, but I just do not see the logic in charging an upfront cost for something that is effectively a free-to-play model. When your business depends on keeping players around for the long term, the only thing that matters is how many people you can get in the door and how long you can keep them there. I'm going to tell it to you guys straight. I think a lot of people are preaching platitudes when it comes to this game. I think that Sony spent $400 million on Concord. How much are they willing to spend on a Bungie live service title? I would guarantee there's some serious cash that flew into this.
Yeah.
Not only that, but they spent $3 billion acquiring that company. They cannot afford for this game to be niche, but that's exactly what this game is going to be, because that's just what this genre is.
Yeah.
And keep in mind, the Destiny 2 has not been financially viable, or at least not as profitable as Sony needed it to be when they purchased Bungie for that $3 billion. So, yeah, this can't be a niche game. It needs to be a breakout hit. They need it to be a Helldivers 2. They need it to be a Marvel Rivals or even something bigger than that.
And I don't think it will be, sadly.
Maintain that speed, not just have it fall off after a week or two or something like that. This already looks like a high-risk gamble in a genre that just cannot compete with the kind of numbers that both Sony and Bungie are going to be looking for. And you're already giving players plenty of reasons not to even try the game, let alone play it. I'm just saying try it or even be interested in it. $40 for a live service game with all of the trappings, no proximity chat. What are you guys thinking? Who's making these decisions?
Oh, actually, you know what? Yeah, I'm an idiot. If it's a live service game, I don't know why I completely forgot that this was a live service game now, and then the battle pass. So now it makes now I'm understanding it now. Now it makes less sense of it being $40. Yeah, this game does sound like it should have been at least a free-to-play game. Yeah, now I'm seeing it now. I'm starting to get why $40 for this game is sounding kind of bullshit. Kind of live service. Bungie being very predatory with microtransactions. We've seen that a lot, especially with the very infamous new friendly player bundle that they had in the store in Destiny 2, and everybody went, holy crap, this is horrible. PSA, if you're new to Destiny 2, don't buy that beginner bundle in the store. It's horrible. And then Bungie just silently removed it from the store. But yeah, you know what? I'm seeing it. Yeah, this really should have been a free-to-play game.
What are you guys thinking? Who's making these decisions? You know, ironically, if I was a publisher and I wanted to make a profitable live service game, you know what I would make? Destiny, but just not Destiny or Warframe.
Destiny
I think
3.
there is a general, genuine hunger from players that want an MMO-light action RPG experience that doesn't have players that have 10 years of experience in front of them. They want a even start. They want to be on the ground level with everybody else.
See, I don't even think that's the issue about having veterans that are 10 years ahead of you. It's just that Destiny 2 has a horrible new player experience. The reason why the 10-year veteran ahead of us is a big thing is because we experienced the beginning of the story of Destiny 2. New players can't experience that. They just get thrown into this weirdly made beginner tutorial mission thing. And then, you know, they're talking about suddenly they're seeing all these characters that are alive and all that, and then suddenly they do one mission, they come back, oh, and suddenly all these characters are dead and everything, and then they're just confused, like, what the, I just finished this mission and like 2 minutes later everybody's dead. Suddenly the story is completely different. The new player experience, that's the issue about Destiny 2. If it didn't have that horrible experience, if Destiny still had all the previous campaigns and everything, I bet you Destiny 2 would have still been doing a bit better than how it is right now. Because new players could get into the game and play all of that stories that we played. They would have more time to enjoy the game and slowly get up to where we are, instead of just being thrown into this weird ass story that just changes drastically. All because Bungie removed the old content and they don't even have the files to put it back. They would have to make it from scratch again.
They want a even start. They want to be on the ground level with everybody else.
Yeah, that's called Destiny 3.
And I think that the First Descendant showed that. I think that it also showed that if your game's not good, the players aren't going to stick around. But I think that showed a general hunger for something in the live service market that isn't there right now, or at least players aren't seeing that's there. And for Marathon, I just don't see that same kind of draw. And I don't think I don't think this game is going to make its money back. I just don't see it happening. Now, with that said, I still think that this launch is going to be a big deal. Bungie's name still carries weight. We're talking about the people that make Halo and Destiny. And for a lot of people, that's all you're going to need. There are going to be people that are going to line up to buy this game just off of the name alone. Not a lot of people are involved in these kind of conversations. We saw the same kind of thing with Assassin's Creed Shadows, though we don't necessarily know exactly how profitable or how popular that game actually is. But it makes a lot of sense as to why people would be confused by the general discourse surrounding Marathon right now. They see the negativity, they see the identity politics and things like that, the heavy-handed criticisms, and they all look at it and ask, you know, why are you rooting for something to fail that's not even out yet? And I think boiling down all that into toxicity and ideological hate misses the point entirely. People do not trust Bungie, and people do not trust Sony, and you're putting them in the same room together.
Yeah.
And that's not a good combination. That's not what players are looking for. And I think that this game is going to show them, both of these companies are going to suffer the consequences of taking advantage of the very players that they need for this game to succeed. Trust has been a reoccurring theme in some of my recent videos, and Marathon might be the best case study yet that we've seen for what happens to a studio when it's burned through it entirely. What the media, publishers, developers, and even other players often miss out on, it's not just the tone that matters when it comes to criticism, it's the source. Where is all of this unrest coming from that matter? Developers and even other...
Why does it seem like gamers and content creators want games to fail? The response I have seen on Delta Force and Marathon is just sad. People haven't played or haven't even played these games and call them shit/dead on arrival. Why? Do you want unique new titles? Games can still be good and shown. I'm in agreement with, yeah, the game is getting a lot of hate. It's not even out yet. We haven't even played it yet. I get that. But at the same time, the other part of me is, another part of my gamer side is, can you blame them? We've been scammed. We've been told bullshit. We've been treated horribly by these gaming companies. That includes Bungie as well. Like I said, I love Bungie, but they've been doing a lot of stupid shit recently. So you can't blame us for being in denial when new games or new titles come out from gaming companies. Like I said, I just find it that the hate is just kind of getting out of control. But at the same time, I understand why there's hate coming to them.
Publishers, developers, and even other players often miss out on. It's not just the tone that matters when it comes to criticism, it's the source. Where is all of this unrest coming from? As a studio, your foundation for your next game should be the players that you already have. You build trust with them, you reward their loyalty, you grow from there. You do not abandon them to go chase an audience that you never even had. especially when that audience that you do have is already skeptical. But that's exactly what Bungie is doing here, because I don't think that Destiny players want Marathon, and I don't think the outsiders looking in are any more convinced after seeing how Bungie treats its own customers and their staff. They have turned their reputation into a currency, and they've spent all of it. Sure, some criticisms may be hyperbolic, and yeah, in today's political climate, it's easy to fall back on ideological explanations, but let's set all of that aside for a second. Look at what's actually... Criticisms may be hyperbolic.
I think this whole DEI/anti-wokeness craze makes discussing games so annoying. I don't think queer people working on Marathon is a problem. I do have a problem with what looks like a safe and soulless... What? Like a safe and soulless that will be loaded with MTX, little content at launch at a premium price. Okay, yeah. Like I said, I didn't see the big issue, but yeah, no, now that I think about it, $40 for just 3 maps and then 1 map for season 1, 6 runners. Really don't know the whole layout of the amount of loot and the whole guns that are available in the game. Even all that just seems like too little for $40. So, yep.
Let's set all of that aside for a second. Look at what's actually going on here. Let's look at the history here. Look at Destiny 2. Why would anyone trust Bungie? Why would anyone want to get excited for their next game? Destiny 2 brought with it a slow, relentless shift into predatory monetization. In-game rewards were stripped away and moved into the Eververse store. Then came content vaulting, an entire expansion that players had paid for, removed from the game. No refunds, no apologies, no real benefit for the players. Then they started sunsetting weapons that players had grinded for.
All right, Legendary, we get it. Stop reminding me of all... God damn it, it hurts for being reminded. Okay, just stop. You're already killing me. Stop. I'm already dead. Please stop.
No refunds, no apologies, no real benefit for the players. Then they started sunsetting weapons that players had grinded for, invalidating progress, all in the name of balance, only for them to reverse course on that later.
Yeah, just like me deleting my goddamn Kindled Orchid with Kill Clip and freaking Rampage that could one-shot people, thinking, oh yeah, the damn thing got sunset, can't use it anymore. Oh well, you know what? I'm gonna be a good boy. I'm gonna delete it. Hope for something new to come out and, you know, move on with my life. No, and then they're bringing it back. It's Bungie.
Then they started sunsetting weapons that players had grinded for, invalidating progress, all in the name of balance, only for them to reverse course on that later. Then Sony bought them for $3.6 billion. Players were promised. They were told that things would get better, more transparency, faster content, better communication. Instead, monetization got worse, content got buggier, and the development cycle slowed to a crawl. Then came the layoffs. Sony started gutting the studio, cutting narrative leads and veteran developers. The same people who built what fans loved were then tossed aside. Reports of crunch, discrimination, and a toxic
expensive car collection.
Followed. Lawsuits then after that, all coming from a studio that constantly paraded around its progressive values in public, but apparently all for nothing. And after all of that, what do players get? They got Lightfall, a broken, bloated, recycled expansion that felt more like filler and cost the same as a full-price title. You know, let's not forget that this is the same Bungie that charges $150 for a free-to-play game, though Steam estimates it'll cost you over $450.
We get it, Legendary, please.
For Destiny 2. There are battle passes, paid dungeons, cosmetic bundles, event cards, paywalled expansions, and a $60 expansion cycle. While it definitely seems that the game's latest expansion was received well, why would players be excited for anything that Bungie then puts out after this? They don't trust them, and frankly, they shouldn't. There's no loyalty left, no goodwill, just the appearance of a studio that's looking for new ways to squeeze the last few dollars out of whoever's left around. This is one of the reasons why they keep losing players, and when you treat players like disposable wallets, you can't be surprised when they treat your next project like a joke. Yeah, Bungie and Sony are gambling with their franchises, betting everything on growth, on shareholder satisfaction, on live service revenue, but you don't build trust by gambling. You build it with respect. Right now, that respect is gone. And look, I get it. I know that the discourse around games has gotten more toxic, but so has the way that players have been treated. Studios are demanding more money, offering less value, and when players push back, they're dismissed, they're mocked, they're told that this game isn't made for you. This isn't about ideology.
Okay, that, like I said, that one isn't that bad. For Bungie to say like, hey, this game isn't about PvE. If you're in it for PvE, this game isn't about you. That one, I still kind of stand by it where it's not that bad. What is bad is when, like I said, players get treated like shit, and then companies come out saying the player base is asking too much, and we're going, dude, all we asked was a good functioning FPS game that has a freaking scoreboard, and you're saying that that's asking too much now. All we want is just a good game, and yet you're out here contemplating charging us $1 per digital magazine in a freaking game. That is where I'm like, yeah, okay, I get that makes sense why we get angry. But for Bungie to just go like, hey, we're making a game, it's not PvE, so if you're purely just PvE, this game might not be for you. I still don't think that's bad. Everything else, yeah, it's pretty bad. Gamers get treated like dog shit. We then voice our concerns, and then the freaking companies come out saying, hey, you're asking too much. It's like, we're not asking too much. We just want to be treated with respect and get a good game. Yeah, apparently that's impossible nowadays, apparently.
And when players push back, they're dismissed, they're mocked, they're told that this game isn't made for you. This isn't about ideology. This is the direct result of corporate bloat, of chasing endless growth in an industry that's already overextended. Eventually, you're going to hit a ceiling. You're going to outpace your own audience. And when you can't pull in any more players, the only thing that's left to do is to bleed the ones that you already have dry. How can you blame these players for being skeptical or negative when they're treated this way? I mean, if we take the time to look at all these criticisms through a lens of distrust, it all starts to make sense. Take Marathon's character designs. I personally do not find them appealing. Nothing about them really grabs me, but I do understand what Bungie is going for here. This is a transhumanist universe where people have just given up on humanity. Think Cyberpunk 2077, but another 800 years later. These people have cycled through death and rebirth until the point that they don't even know who they are anymore. These characters aren't supposed to look human, masculine, or feminine because canonically, they've lost touch with that. And this is the point that I think a lot of people miss, is that nuance is lost on a skeptical audience. They are not going to assume the best, they're going to assume the worst. I've seen the accusations, the backlash about androgyny, the character designs, the questions about who's leading the project. Some of it is ideological, sure, without a doubt, but all of it? No, I don't think it's all about gender or identity. I think it's about trust. Players have been watching, and they've been seeing this song and dance play out for years now. We've watched as countless studios have injected gender ideology as a smokescreen for weak design, for shallow writing. Players have been treated like they're problems that need to be fixed and educated, and now they're just going to assume the worst. When you break your bond with your community, when you break that trust that you had with them, even the thoughtful, creative choices that you make are going to get viewed through a lens of suspicion. That's the cost of cashing in on your reputation. That's the cost of breaking your trust. And Marathon is about to show the entire industry just how expensive that cost truly is. I want to illustrate this for you guys because I want people to really understand this. If we change the context of this conversation entirely, we look at a game like Elden Ring or any From Software title, really, these games are drenched in body horror, divine transformation, and identity collapse. Characters that are mutating into gods, into beasts, into nothing at all in some cases. While there is clearly masculine and feminine figures within their narratives, the overwhelming aesthetic in these games is androgynous, grotesque, and symbolic more than anything else. Even their character creator uses body type A and body type B rather than traditional gendered language. And yet, no outrage, no mass backlash, no claims of agenda or people that are trying to dissect screenshots frame by frame. Well, I guess in some cases with America. But why is this? It's because the audience trusts From Software. I genuinely feel like this is what so many people in the industry fail to understand. The backlash rarely starts from the content itself. It almost always starts from the studio behind it. When players feel respected, when they feel like they can trust the developer's intentions, they're not going to be looking for reasons to criticize. They're invested. They want to believe. They want that game to succeed. But when that studio squanders that trust, players will scrutinize everything. They will attack everything because they are waiting to get burned again. I don't understand how industry veterans and writers are missing out on such an obvious shift in priorities from some of the most successful studios in this industry. Look at the studios that are out there that are earning goodwill right now. Larian Studios dropped one of the best RPGs that we've seen in years in Baldur's Gate 3. They sold it at a fair price. They packed it full of content, no microtransactions, no season passes, no DLC. Even when fans were begging for more content, what did Larian do? They added it for free. They refused to monetize their player trust.
Nice.
From Software, right now, they're making Elden Ring Night Rain. Fully multiplayer-focused game, no cash shop, no battle passes, or microtransactions. Hello Games has spent years now making No Man's Sky, adding more and more content to it, even when players are begging to give them money. They are dropping massive updates for free, transforming it into something that players actually love. The result? Trust, loyalty, excitement. These studios, when they go to announce their next project, these players aren't going to question it. They're not going to brace themselves for disappointment. They are ready to believe, they want to believe it's going to be great. That's the difference. These developers understand that their audience isn't something to be manipulated, it's something to be earned. Now, this may come as a surprise to you guys, but a lot of people from the industry watch these videos. I get a lot of feedback from developers. Hell, I just recently talked to a CEO. You guys are going to be hearing more on that later this week.
Okay.
But if you work for Bungie and you found this video for whatever reason, know that this isn't out of bad faith or anything like that. This is just genuine criticism, and I'm being realistic about the position that you guys are in. And you have to do something about that. I don't know how you're going to. The clock is ticking. The game releases in September, and you have to somehow undo what's been done. You have to somehow regain player trust for a new game, and I just personally don't think that's going to happen. Not with what these players, not with what Destiny players have been subjected to over the years. Bungie, in my eyes, is the ultimate betrayal for gamers. We're talking about a company.
You know, him say that, it just made me feel like, wow, maybe. I like how in the beginning, I just went like, yeah, you know, you guys are anti-child, you guys are going crazy. And now because of this video, I'm actually going, crap, you know, maybe he's right. Oh my god, maybe yeah, it's what is it? It's not Sherlock. What is it? The freaking Stockholm syndrome? Maybe it's that I'm suffering Stockholm syndrome. Playing Destiny 2 for so long, and now Bungie's making a new game, and I'm just like, oh, you guys are being mean to Bungie. You can't be mean to Bungie, even though Bungie is with a whip smacking me in the back, like, give me money, play Destiny 2. I'll say this, Legendary Drops, you did change me a bit here. You did change my mind about the whole $40. Now I'm really kind of going, yeah, this is kind of ridiculous that it's $40. Beginning, I didn't think it was that bad, but now I am thinking, because I didn't know it was going to be a live service. I completely forgot about that. Plus, it just clocked to me. It clocked to me right now. I didn't even think about this, but yeah, it only has 3 maps, then the 4th one, only 6 runners, don't know the whole loot table, and I don't know anything else other than that. All that really, and then the battle pass and all that. Then knowing Bungie was like very predatory with their microtransactions. Yeah, $40 is sounding very steep right now. So yeah, I understand that the game should have sounded more of a free-to-play game. And yeah, I understand now more of why people are hating it. I still do think that D2 players should probably, like, you know, kind of calm down a bit. I still believe what Bungie said about, if you're just in it for PvE, this game might not be for you. I still stand by that kind of, but I'm starting to slowly change on why the hatred is going towards Bungie, because yeah, Bungie has just really done a bunch of stupid shit, and I'm starting to get it more. It's just really sad to see, isn't it?
Not with what Destiny players have been subjected to over the years.
Yeah,
Bungie, in my eyes,
I have a tear in my eye right now.
Ultimate betrayal for gamers. We're talking about a company that has always been on the cutting edge of game design. Some of the best shooters that are out there, some of the best memories that they've created for players worldwide.
Yup.
Yet at the exact same time, they are the least ethical studio, in my eyes, in the entire industry. And it's not even close. I've never seen players treated the way that Destiny players have been treated. I'm one of them. Yeah. I'm never going to forgive you for taking away content that I paid for without asking.
Yeah. I want the menagerie back.
You know, I realize that the people to blame aren't necessarily the folks that are sitting at the desk that are working on these games. I guarantee there are some hardworking people that are working on Marathon right now, and to be honest with you, they don't deserve what's coming their way. You know who does?
They don't make the decisions.
The guy that's been spending money like crazy, the one that has $2 million worth of
car collection,
classic cars in his garage, and also on top of that, the company that spent $3 billion on that company. They're the problem in this situation. They're the ones that need to figure something out. I'm going to tell it to you guys straight. I don't think that Marathon is going to flop the same way that Concord did. I think that there's enough brand recognition, enough power. It's way more distinct. It looks cooler in general. I think people will give it a shot.
Like I said, I am going to give it a shot, but I do agree. I don't think Marathon is going to fail colossally, okay? I don't think it's going to fail to that magnitude of Concord. I don't think it's going to be as extremely successful as Destiny 2, or in this case for an extraction shooter, as successful as Tarkov. I think it's going to be somewhere in the middle, leaning ever so slightly on the it's kind of doing bad kind of. I still think it's going to be a decent game. I just don't think it's going to be colossal, basically. Like he said, it is Bungie. it's a big brand and people recognize it. They know how good it is for a first-person shooter game. But he is right that Bungie has cemented themselves in this whole, we're in it. We make games that are PvE Destiny, and then they're going away from that. But at the same time, I do agree that if Bungie wants to do that, they have the right to do that. And they have the right to tell people, be like, hey, we're going to be real with you. If you're into PvE, don't get this game.
It looks cooler in general. I think people will give it a shot.
Yeah, it looks interesting.
Some people will give it a shot. But ultimately, looking at the kind of money that they need to make, keep in mind, Destiny 2 is not making the money that Sony needs Bungie to be making.
Oh, yeah.
They thought Destiny 2 was going to make more money than it did, and it's just consistently lost players almost year after year after year.
I'm one of them.
And if this game comes out and does not meet the expectations of Sony, it's going to suffer the same fate as Concord. They're going to look at the studio. They're going to think about, hey, what's the cheapest way that we can continue to run Destiny 2 and make it profitable, and then just gut the rest of the studio. Use it as a support or whatever it might be, or probably just lay off everybody, to be honest with you. That's just been the trend that this industry has been going in lately.
Sadly, true.
That's what I foresee. I just don't see it making the money that this company is probably expecting this game to make. Unless they have a bunch of other projects they plan on doing, but I don't think that's the case. Who knows? Maybe I'll be proven wrong. Maybe they make some big changes. Maybe there's some finishing touches they add before the game. Maybe they delay it for a little bit and they give it a little bit of extra love that makes it a little bit more interesting for players. I don't know. Maybe there is a incredibly broad audience that's out there that is looking for a streamlined extraction shooter experience, and this game is going to fit right into it, and it's just going to blow up. Personally, that sounds like a bit of a fantasy to me. But I guess we'll see. I've been proven wrong in the past. I'm not going to pretend like I'm infallible, not by any means. But yeah, I hope the game is good.
Same here.
I don't really necessarily want to see it fail because it does have a lot of things that interest me. And if it's fun and it's interesting, then I'm going to enjoy the game. That's basically how I've felt with most of these games that come out. I'm never going to necessarily pray for a game to fail, companies to fail. That's a completely different story. But games themselves, not necessarily, because I like having good games to play.
Same here. Exactly.
Hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you guys did enjoy the video, make sure you guys subscribe to the channel, like the video, drop a comment down below. Come follow me on Twitch, hang out. I keep pointing here. Like I put the sign. I always forget it. You can just check the description or the pinned comment or something like that. Yeah, that's it. Stay cool, stay righteous, stay safe. Catch you guys in the next one.
Family.
All right. Well, yet again, another amazing video from Legendary Drops. And in the end, I do agree. I really do hope this game is amazing. It seems interesting. I am going to try the game. I'll give it a try. But yeah, this video really changed me a bit about the whole $40 and then me changing that, Destiny 2 players are just being annoying about it. I see it more now. Like I said, maybe it was just a case of Stockholm syndrome. I knew why Destiny players were angry about this whole game and everything, but it's just like, you guys just need to calm down, dude. Just let Bungie try to make another game. I agree that they've done a bunch of stupid shit and they're doing some dumb stuff, but at the end of the day, like it's just like you said, if it ends up being a really good game, it just means there's another good game that I can enjoy and have fun with. The more games out there, the more chances of me finding something that I can enjoy, and that's basically the whole thing. Anyway, amazing video. Let me know down in the comments what you think about Marathon. Let me know if you're gonna try it out. If you think it's a good game, you think it's horrible, tell me the reasons why. If you think the art style is ugly, tell me anything, blah blah blah. And yeah, hopefully it's a good game. Hopefully I enjoy it. Hopefully you guys enjoy it as well if you do get it. And hopefully you enjoy it when I make some content out of that game in my The Fortunate Hero main channel. Link in the description. Remember, go sub and like. Go sub and like to this channel as well. Remember, you can check out Legendary Drops' channel in the description and the video in the description. Go sub and like to him. And yeah, ladies and gentlemen, that's all. Peace, ladies and gentlemen. Peace.